Hello, BookTube. It's time for me to do my monthly wrap up. This time we're doing it for February, and I had a very interesting reading month for February. It's not as chaotic as March is going to turn out to be, but I'll be fine. So let's start with what I read. I've read some Nora Roberts, of course. I love Nora Roberts. I always forget the series name. It's called um I should have prepared for this. It's called the Three Sisters Island Trilogy, and it's all about these women who move to this mysterious island to escape their past troubles and all that, and find love pretty much. And I like the idea. I thought it was really good. It kind of reminds me of like Spindle Cove by Tessa Dare, except Nora has to add paranormal witches to it because the island was originally like haunted by witches or whatever. And I just find it didn't match with like the main characters, what they were going for at the time. It was just so shoved in. And but yeah, all three of them I thought were fine. Dance Upon Air was the first, then Heaven and Earth, then the final book, Face the Fire. I think I liked Heaven and Earth the most, but again, really solid Nora Roberts. They're a bit dated for their time, but I think if you can look past the paranormal elements like I did, I think you'd kind of like them. Again, I'm still on the hunt for Nora Roberts with like a paranormal element or even a fancy one that I like, but we're still going, so let's keep going. Then I read two mountaineering books for some reason. I read Into Thin Air, a personal account of Mount Everest by John Carcieri Kerr, Krakaauer, and then I read Buried Underneath the Sky about the K2 disaster in 2008. I didn't like Into Thin Air as much as people love it. I thought it was just the person writing it was a bit too close to the actual event. I don't think he healed from what he went through with that. I think and that kind of affected the writing, to be honest. It's um a bit too close to what happened, I think, for it to be a definitive account. It's more like just a personal, um, like what he went through rather than an actual history of what, but a case of what happened pretty much. Where Buried in the Sky, sorry, 5 star, probably one of my favorite non-fiction books so far about the K2 disaster, K8, K2, oh my god, I can't remember. Disaster, incredible reading, easily the best mountaineering book I read. And then I read How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. This is a new release. It's pretty much a serial dating contemporary with like a serial killer plot going on. I love the idea. It was fine. It didn't lean into the melodrama as much as I wanted it to, but it didn't play it serious at all. But I still wish it kind of leaned into it a bit more. But again, I thought it was really fine. Then I decided over the course of 2 days to binge the entire Hunger Games series, the first 3 books, because I never grew up with Hunger Games. I've never seen the films. I just know them as being, books that they are. And so I binged all 3 in 2 days. The first Hunger Games book's iconic. What do you want me to say? It's a diva. Incredibly interesting and inventive. It's a classic example of show don't tell with whatever Kathleen. I can't remember her name, but whatever she goes through and like all the violence, I really love. Catching Fire for me wasn't as good. I wanted to like it more because I've heard some people say it's the best, but for me, it just takes so long to get started. Like literally, like why does it start? Why does all the action start 300 pages in? It was a letdown for me. But then Mockingjay was a real surprise. I think it's the most ambitious of the first 3 novels. I think the themes and what Suzanne was trying to explore around society, I think, was more fleshed out. I love the love triangles throughout the series. I think they're really interesting. And yeah, I want to keep going with the prequels, but I need to find time to do them. So I have those ready to go too. But yeah, so I finally done a little series called The Hunger Games. Look at me go. And then I read some Heya. I done Devil's Cup to Conqueror. You know all that stuff. Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypas. This was for Historical Aliens Book Club. I'm a bit early to this book, but it was a bit mid for me. Lisa Kleypas, I want to like her more than I do. I love her like ideas for stories, but for me, her like consent stuff, like I think it's very dated to the early 2000s in my opinion, and it's kind of like Bridgerton in that sense where you get to like to filled with love and kind of stuff around that where it didn't really grab me as much. But I will keep going with Lisa Kleypas because she wrote so much, and I will eventually get to the majority of her books. And then for Mama Needs to Read Romance, her Jane Austen book club, I did reread actually Sense and Sensibility Sea Monsters. It's iconic. What do you want me to say? It's incredible. Um, Even it's just so I love parody novels of Austen. I would honestly take this over the original Sense and Sensibility. To be honest, I love how all the men are in wetsuits. I just think it's so fun. If you love a parody novel, go to Sense and Sensibility Sea Monsters. And then I read Seduction by Nicole Jordan too, which was a fine historical. And then me and Josh are continuing our read buddy reading. Oh my god, reading buddy reads. Oh, I can't speak. Buddy read of the complete plays of Billy Shakes, of course. And this month we've done Richard III, which I actually really love. To be honest, this was the third time I've read Richard III. Incredibly solid. It's so much better than Henry VI. Is it my favorite of the Henry Ad plays? I actually don't know. I know Henry IV, but Richard III's up there for me. I've always loved Richard III. And then we went on to do The Comedy of Errors, which I really loved the first time I read it years ago. I thought it was really fun, funny. But when I read it now, I'm like, oh, I love the language though. I love the speeches. Give me all of that. But I feel like the comedy's aged a bit for me. At least it's gone down when it comes to my favorites when it comes to rereading them. But we'll see how the Comedy of Errors, where it moves in my Shakespeare ranking when I eventually get to that. Then I read The Unsinkable, the full story of the Titanic by Daniel Allen Butler, probably one of the most famous accounts of the Titanic. I just thought I'd read it. I do have Walter, I can't remember his name, who wrote like A Night to Remember and the sequel. I want to do those. I have those as ebooks, but I done this one here, and I absolutely really enjoyed it, and it is so worth your hype. If you want like just a book on Titanic, Daniel Allen Butler's just his book's incredible. Footsteps in the Dark I read. Then I decided to do a chaotic rereading of Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. 5 star. It's honestly one of my favorite books ever. I never get sick of it. This is honestly, again, the third time I've read this book. Never gets old. I love the second half so much. I read it in 3 days. I absolutely adore it, and I want to go back to Cervantes with his other explanatory works. I can't remember the name of it, and I have a big biography of him I want to do as well. But yeah, it's always good to reread Don Quixote. It's good for the soul. Then I done Heya, Why Shoot a Butler. Then I done B.K. Borison finally. I've read a bit of her Christmas stuff, but I read First Time Cola and now Back to You, her newest release. Because I was like, I'll do First Time Cola when the sequel comes out, and it came out a couple of days ago. Fine, really. But I'm waiting for B.K. Borison because I've read one of her Christmas books, but I could see her maybe becoming like a favorite author. Maybe I don't know. Maybe not a favorite, but like an author. Oh my god, I love a new release from her, or whatever. But it's not clicking so far. I think she puts so much into what her characters are going through. I feel like there's just so much going on at once, and I feel like I'm just waiting for the right book with her. To be honest, I can see why people really like her. Her covers are really pretty, but I need more books to read by her before I have a real opinion on her. I've only done 3, but I will keep up with new releases. But yeah, B.K. Borison for me. Well, she's in the middle. She's not like an Elise Silver or someone else like that who be like, oh, maybe not not my cup of tea, but maybe B.K. Borison. We'll see as she keeps writing. And then I kept on reading Shakespeare with Josh. The last 2 books we're going to be talking about today is Titus Andronicus and The Taming of the Shrew. So Titus Andronicus, I thought was fine. I think I liked it more the first time I read it, but it's kind of gone down maybe. I don't know. I need more time with it. But it's incredibly violent and gruesome. Billy is trying to be like a lot of the revenge tragedies of the time in the Elizabethan era. Think of like A Woman Killed with Kindness and all that stuff. But giving it a really interesting historical twist, which I really liked. If this play did not have any of the violence, it probably would not even be remembered as much as it is, to be honest. I don't have much to say about Tyson John because I definitely don't think it's his worst play, and it's fine. I think I would love to see it live. To be honest, I think it'd be really fun. And then the most conflicting book I read this month is The Taming of the Shrew, because I never liked this book. It just literally done nothing for me. This is the third time, again, the third time I've read some of these books, and I really kind of liked it this time. I think I picked up on more of the comedy and irony that Shakespeare was, I think, going for, because it's you don't see any of the torture that goes on really. A lot of it's off stage, which I think is really interesting, and I just feel that if you read at face value, I think it's not the best. It's a bit misogynistic at times, but I feel like Shakespeare, the man who created such incredible characters as Cleopatra, as Portia, as Rosalind, as Juliet, wouldn't do even in his early days like a genuine sexist play, because he always women were always the great characters in his plays. They have the best lines. They're more interesting than the men. And I feel like Shakespeare does this here too with the main two sisters. I find them really interesting, way better than the men. So I don't feel like this play is sexist. I feel like I feel like maybe the humor of it's aged pretty. It's a bit dated, but I feel like again it's ironic. I feel like Shakespeare's poking fun at marriage and the way men put expectations on their women too, and especially at the end, both the sisters are fine. They kind of got the tongue in cheek when it comes to that final speech too. But yeah, I have so many. I'm still processing my thoughts on Taming of the Shrew, but I thought it was really good. Again, it's not badly written at all, but it could. I don't know where it would again place in my ranking. It's definitely moved up. But we're moving on next to The Two Gentlemen of Verona, which is definitely not my favorite Shakespeare play ever, but maybe on a reread it will change. But yeah, that's just some of the books I read in February. Let me know what you think about what I read, and yeah, thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I will see you next time.